Hey everyone, back to Web Squadron's live chat. I'm hoping loads of you will be here, and I'm hoping that you are going to start asking lots of questions, because today's topic is about how can we get used to using Elementor and get the best out of it as well. I'm just going to put the chat on with the overlays, so hopefully you can see all of that. So I'm Imran Sadiq, Web Squadron. Please do like, and if you're following us on YouTube, do subscribe, and if you're not, make sure you're following us on LinkedIn, YouTube I've already mentioned, Facebook as well, because we always love to share and help you out with Elementor and WordPress to help you, your clients, and your business get the best out of everything, because we want you all to succeed, because when you succeed, we succeed, etc., etc., etc. Okay, cool. Right, so let me just quickly put a quick message up here just to say please do leave messages as we go along. Right, so let's start off with what do we tend to do when we're building a website? Okay, so one of the first things is obviously you'll speak to your client, you'll have a brainstorming session. You want to, hey John, good to see you again, my friend. You'd want to do a brainstorming session where you want to find out, well, what is it that the client wants, or what do you want from a website? You know, you want to shop. Well, that's great, but have you thought about your products, your categories? Have you thought about if you're going to have variation like sizes, different prices for them, different prices for the colors of a t-shirt or a pair of jeans or something? Have you thought about shipping? You know, it might be that you say anything over 20 kilograms, the cost goes up. Or maybe if your basket has up to 50 pounds in it or more, you get a 10, 20% discount. Start to think about all of these questions. I mean, that's just a shop. But what if you're not a shop? Think about, well, what are you trying to achieve with your website? Now, all of these questions in terms of who you are, your brand, how you're marketing, what are your packages, what are you offering to people when they come to your website, you need to get that all down on paper. You then need to go out and start looking at competitor or similar websites and start either storing their addresses or sketching down how they look, especially on the homepage. What you then do is kind of try and draw out what your wireframe is. Now, when people say wireframe, people go a bit, what? Do I have to now get wires out and start bending them together? No, not at all. A wireframe is just a scribble, okay? There are lots of developers and designers out there that are very, very sophisticated in what they do, okay? They will use Figma or Photoshop or lots of other applications where they start to put down, you know, the logo, the menu, the hero banner, the call to action, buttons, icons, about me, testimonials, etc., etc. You can do that if you want. And most people that do that will charge a little bit more for that. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, because it can come across as a really polished way to do it. Me, I just do a bit of a scribble, and I'm not ashamed to say that. Paper, post-it, whatever. I will do a scribble, I'll take a photo of it and I'll send it to the client, or we will talk about it over the phone or a video chat, and we'll do it there and then. Why? Because A, it's a lot quicker. B, well, I just have to use a pen and paper or a pencil or a marker pen or a highlighter. And C, it gives the client an opportunity to also come back to me with their own scribble. So rather than me saying, oh yeah, don't worry, I'll do it for you, and you know, I've got this special Photoshop application, you know, it's a couple of grand, you don't leave it to me, I'll do it. Sometimes I feel that when someone has done that to me in the past, like when I've had an extension, an architect, and I said, well, what are you using? And they went, we're using this special application, and I was like, are you using CAD? Yes, we use CAD. Well, I know how to use CAD as well. So I always said, if you're trying to create a relationship with your client or with the people you work with, sometimes don't say, well, we're going to use something you can't use as well. Pen and paper scribble is absolutely fine. Now, I'm just going to quickly share my screen over here, and I hope you can see that. Probably not very clear on the screen, but we're just looking at WordPress at the moment. Okay, now with WordPress, if I just go to the screen here, okay, and hopefully you can still see me in the corner there. Once we've done a brainstorm and we wireframe and we've decided what's going to go where, or roughly with the, you then want to start building your website. And I've got videos already about how you can get your domain on SiteGround, 123reg. You can even go to GoDaddy. Okay, I will say it now. Okay, you can use GoDaddy for your domain. You can maybe use them for your hosting, but please do think a little bit out the box, okay? Because SiteGround offers so much more for your hosting, the 24/7 customer support, okay? It's like I've got my own tech team sat in the room with me. They are so good and supportive. There's lots of hosting companies out there. You got your domain, you got your hosting. You're going to install WordPress, okay? Don't use the GoDaddy or the Bluehost website builder because you will regret it, okay? You'll get something to modify, and that's about it, okay? You're not going to get much more than that, okay? So what we prefer to do is we install WordPress, and then we install Elementor. Elementor, world's best page builder. I said it, I believe it, okay? And what we're going to very quickly go through is how do you install it? It's only going to take 20 seconds, okay? So don't worry anyone who goes, well, hold on, I know how to do this. It's not that bad. And then some key settings you must make sure you take into account, right? So what you would do is you would go to plugins, you go to add new, you type in Elementor, and you install Elementor. Okay, so you can't miss it. When you type Elementor, it's going to be the first one that pops up. Okay, over 5 million active installations. At this moment in time, there are over 9 million websites in the world. The round world, not the flat world. That does not exist. But in the round, spherical world, there's over 9 million websites. Okay, give me a high five. Right. Once you've installed it, you then need to go and get the Elementor Pro. Okay, go to the website, subscribe to their membership to get the, you can either go for the most basic $49 package or go for more. Okay, it's up to you. I'm not pushing anything to you, okay? But if you really want to get the best out of Elementor, you've got to get Elementor Pro. You can use loads of add-ons. Look, essential add-ons for Elementor, premium add-ons for Elementor, Elements Kit, Elementor header footer builder, it goes on and on. There is tons of stuff for Elementor. These all help you to do stuff that you don't get with Elementor free. But too many plugins, right? It's going to eventually cause your WordPress to just keel over, okay? Because eventually you're going to get conflict going on, okay? Plugins are very sensitive, okay? Do not feed them after midnight. Do not get water on them. And do not give them bright sunlight because they will turn into gremlins. Okay, that is true with plugins. So try to be a little bit careful. Them with respect. Give them a bit of love, but don't overcrowd them. Anyway, once you've got Elementor Pro and you have activated it, you will then be asked to connect your license. You then go and connect your license. You know, you put in your email address and bing, 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 it connects. But the reason I'm talking about this is because you do need to take into account some key settings. So if we go to, I've lost it. Where's it gone? Elementor settings. Okay. Make sure these two boxes are ticked because this will disable. Okay. So wait, if you check this box, okay, and you're using Astra or Ocean WP or any other theme, you want to untick these, okay? Because if you don't untick them, it will start to use the colors from the theme, which is a bad idea. Because I'm using hello, I can leave those ticked. It's fine. But if you don't untick them, if Astra theme has an update, it could overwrite your colors within Elementor, which you don't really want because it can mess up your design, okay? The other settings you need to worry about are if you go to advanced, I set my CSS print method to be external rather than internal embedding. Don't ask me why or go into the full jargon of why. The CSS print method I stick as external. It can make a difference to your performance when you come to page speed insights. My font awesome 4. My Google, I leave the rest of it like this, okay? Because there are some things where you don't need to load them just because you think you do. If you load your font awesome for support and all of that, you're going to be adding in icons or fonts into your website that you're probably not even going to use. You're adding in bloat. Do you get me? You're adding in things that you don't need. And the more, the slower your website becomes. So don't do that. In experiments, loads of people I know have not done this, and I don't understand why. But when you get experiments in Elementor, activate the optimized DOM output. That speeds things up. For so long, everyone goes, oh, Elementor, it's so slow. No, it's not. It's usually down to how you built the website. However, if you've built the website really well and it's still a little sluggish in places, this sorts that out. Not completely. I'm not going to say it's the complete, magic wand, but believe me, activate it. Improved asset loading, activate. Improved CSS loading, activate it. Font awesome inline, leave that one. Accessibility improvements, that's quite important, okay, in this day and age, okay? You don't want to be excluding anyone from your website because of, of any impairment in terms of things like that. So please activate that. After that, I don't really care about anything else. The color sampler, you can activate that if you want. That allows you to, at any point in time, when you're creating your website, you can use a color sampler to pick a color from an object on your website. But I'm not massively using that one at the moment, so activate or deactivate. But everything else I've left as inactive at the moment, okay? But the key ones were optimize DOM, improve asset, improve CSS, and accessibility. Now then, let's just very quickly just remind us, or let me tell you about a certain setting in WordPress you must make sure you take account of as well. In the settings, we got general. You make sure your website is HTTPS. You got writing, you got reading, you got discussion. Now media. This one is another one that a lot of people do overlook. When you first load WordPress, you will have values in here for the width and the height for all of these different sizes. Set them to 0. Untick all of these other 2 boxes as well. Why? When you add one image, if you have values present here on what you see right now, okay, I don't know if I'm pointing in the right area. If you see things over there in those boxes and you add one image, it will add a thumbnail size image, a medium, a large, and sometimes even more, extra large and whatever. You could have 5 or 6 versions of one image in your media library. You don't need that. And if you're worried about how much space you're using in your server, right? 10 images, actually it's now become 60. And you don't even know that. You can't even see 60. You can just see 10. So you don't know it. But in your WordPress database, right back there, you've got 60, right? Inodes, they call them. The inode. Be aware of the inode. Okay, so make sure you set that to 0. Right. Let's just now jump into the page building, okay? Let's now go over to pages, and we're going to click add new. Okay, and again, this is sometimes where people get a little bit stuck, because if I just go back a step and I go to pages like so here, and I click add new like this, if I just add in a page, and let's just call it test. No, let's not call it test. Let's call it a test. Yeah, we'll call it a test, and I hit publish on that page. Right? Has it published it? It's publishing it now. Right, that is now published. If we now go back to our pages, like so, let me just refresh this. A test is there. However, the option to edit this with Elementor is not there. This one has it. Look, edit with Elementor. This one is missing it. And the reason it's missing it is because we did not click the edit with Elementor blue button. Did you see it? It was there on the page. But don't worry, just go back into edit and click edit with Elementor. There's been many people that have created a page and then said, this is not Elementor. They start working here on this page. They go plus and they go, oh, I'm going to add in a gallery. And they don't realize that that is not Elementor. That's Gutenberg or block editing or whatever you want to call it. Slice and dicing. That is not Elementor. This is Elementor. When you now say, I'm now going to create it within the Elementor cauldron of awesomeness. Right. So when you first go into a page, if you've already created a header and a footer, it's probably going to be present on the page, okay? I am going to get rid of it just to show you how we're building this page up. We also have the title of the page. Now, if you're using Astra, there is an option when you create the page and you have edit page where you add the title. If you're using Hello, you don't have that option, but you do have it within Elementor. So you come to your page, there's a cog down here called settings. You click that, And over here it says hide title. I wonder what that does. No way! The title is gone. It's back. It's gone. It's back. It's gone. Right, you get the idea. And what I'm also going to do is, at the moment, whenever you're building, leave your page layout as default. Because it's got the header and it's got the footer. But I'm just going to pick Elementor Canvas. When you pick Elementor Canvas, the header and footer disappear. So let me just click update. Why would you do that though? Why would you hide it? Because you might have a website where 5 pages you got the header and footer. You want to see it. But then you might have another page where actually you don't want the header and footer. It is still a page on your website, but you now want it to be a full page something. Okay, a big image, a big banner, a big poster. You can hit Canvas and that page will be created without the header, without the footer. Not a great idea because you've now lost the menu, but you could still add the menu onto a full page as well. There we go. So we now have a clean page. And if you hit the chevron here, that is my page. Okay, it's a plain page. Just check there's any messages popping up. No, right. So we've got a plain page now. What we're going to do is create a hero banner. Okay, there are 2 ways to do it. Well, there's 3 ways to do it, in fact. You could, if you want, import a template of a banner that you created somewhere else, on another website or wherever. Or maybe you've purchased it from someone. Or maybe someone has emailed it to you as a JSON. I cannot remember what JSON stands for, okay? But it's a JSON file. You could import that in. Or, number 2, you could click the grey folder. And you could now pick a pre-built page. So look, we have pages pre-built. Or we could go to blocks. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to pick hero. Let's go for a hero banner. No, should we go for banner? Should we go for hero? Yeah, let's go for hero banner. Let's go for hero. So here we have some examples. And I may decide I want to go for this one here. It's got like a mobile phone image. In fact, let's just do the plus sign there. It'll have a background, it'll have text, some more text underneath, so header, text, a button. Then you'll have like a mobile phone image on the right-hand side. You can swap that image out for another image, okay? You don't have to use exactly what they've given you. You insert that, then let's just do it, hey? Let's insert it and just see what happens to our page. Look at that. We've already now got our hero banner. I can't scroll up and down because it's at the minute it is set to be a full page image, okay? But that's literally all we've got at the moment. Fantastic. That is great. I could now hit this over here, go down and add in another section below, and now start building something in. And again, I could just click the template and say, okay, I now want to have a call to action section. And I might go, let's go for something really weird. Let's just go for this one. Okay, who is she? I don't know. Welcome, and it's got a subscription or a login box or something like that. You know, it might be a box that says subscribe for free offers, coupons. Keep up to date with all of our awesomeness. That was the loser sign, wasn't it? Our awesomeness. So you could also go for that. But that was number 2 in how you could build a section. The third way of how you could do it is you just build it from scratch. 99% of the time, I will build from scratch. Not because I'm an annoying person or just weird, but because sometimes if you take something that's already built and you start to mess around with it to make it look different, you're going to spend more time on it. Because often the pre-built section has got padding and margins done in a certain way. And you then go, right, I'll get rid of the margin here. And you try and get rid of it and it doesn't work. You go, oh, they did it on the column. Oh, no, they didn't do that. Oh, they did it on the header. Oh, no, they didn't do that. And you're trying to find how it was set. Whereas if you do it from scratch, you are in full control, right? And if you've wireframed and designed and scribbled your design, just do your design, right? So I am going to go into here and I am going to click the plus sign. And this is where you can create your section. So originally, well, the template I added was one section with 2 columns. Column 1 was header, text, button. Column 2 was image. Well, I'm going to add in 2 columns. Dead quick I did that. Let me do it again. I click the plus sign, 2 columns. There you go. section, 2 columns. Can you see it? That there's column 1, that there is column 2. What is a section? What is a column? Think of the section as the boundary to the house. That is they're the walls of your house. The columns, 2 of them, are the rooms. I have one house with 2 rooms. Brilliant. Whatever we add into the column, header, image, text, button, sliders, that is the furniture. House, room, furniture. Yes, I could work for IKEA, but I do not. I like IKEA, by the way. I don't know, some people don't. I think they're pretty cool. I've always liked them. They're wonderful, right? So you got your section and 2 columns, okay? If I click on the grid or the edit sections, like 6 dots, okay? If I click that, this is where you can mess around with the layout of the section. At the moment, it is boxed, so I'm going to set it to be a boxed width of 500, okay? There is column 1 and there is column 2. The house is now 500 pixels, which is great if you want your desktop to look exactly like the tablet, to look exactly like the mobile. That's fine. But I would say 500 is probably a bit small. Sometimes you will want it that small because you want to put a testimonial in the middle of the screen or something. But normally I tend to go with 1200 because 1200 is a pretty reasonable size for when you're looking at things on the on the desktop. Okay, so it's roughly there. You can't see it because there's no content at the moment, but we have 2 rooms. I could also decide on the columns gap. Now, if I pick a wider column, okay, again, you're not going to see anything because there's no content yet, but I tend to go for no gap. And again, I'm breaking some of the rules of what you will see in Elementor tutorials. They tend to leave it as default. I go for no gap, again, because I want full control over what I'm designing. I have a wireframe. I have an idea of what I want it to look like. It is going to be built my way, okay? Because I'm a genius. I know what I'm doing. Now, the height. You could go for a minimum height. So look at the height of this section. That's the bottom border of the section, right? Look, it could either be the minimum, so it will only be as high as the contents within, or it doesn't matter how big the contents are. It's always going to be 563. Of course, though, when you start to add content in, if you add too much content, it will go outside the 563. But that's 563. Okay, yeah, that's the height, minimum height. Or I could go fit screen. So fit screen now is fit screen. Doesn't always do that when you get to mobile. Okay, when you're on mobile, it will sometimes kind of like stop before the bottom of the mobile or the fold. Just because phones are free nature, okay? It doesn't always follow what you think it's going to do. But on the desktop, you will be completely fine. Hey, No Home, No Mind, great to have you here. So for what we're going to do right now, I'm just going to set this to be minimum height of 0. Because the way I'm actually going to control how big that section is with padding, right? Let me add in some content first, and then I'll go into the margins and padding. And why that's quite important, you get it right for your desktop, you get it right for the tablet, you get it right for the mobile before you move on to your next section. And I'll explain why in a moment. I'm not going to touch anything else. In fact, I'm going to say the column position is middle. We'll leave that as that. What does that mean? Well, if you don't set the column position to be middle, if I set it to be top, right? Can you, well, let me just show you. If I do this, can you see that the columns are in the middle of the screen? If I set the position to be top, even though I've made the section 454 pixels in height, the columns, the 2 rooms, have become attic rooms. If I put bottom, they're now in the cellar, the basement, the dungeon, where all of the horror movies take place. And if we put it in the middle, well, now you have the lounge and the kitchen, and we have an open plan, and we're all happy. And I tend to go with middle. Of course, your wireframe and your design will define what you want to do. Let's now add in some content. Okay, and I'm not going to make too long on this because I'm just showing you how it works and some tips you need to think about. Let's add in a header. You can change your header. You can do your styling of your header with your colors. You can do your typography, your sizing, and all of that. A key thing I will say though, I used to, when I built websites, I would always put in pixels for the font size. So I would go in and say, right, I want the size to be, let's go for 40 pixels, right? The trouble is though, if you're trying to create a responsive website, depending on screen resolution, you kind of want your font to kind of slightly adjust a little bit then. So rather than doing that, and some will use EM, some will use REM. REM are a great band, you know, I love their music, but I go with EM, and I might put in a value of 1. I always start with 1, and then I go up until I get it to the size I want, and I'm going to go for EM2. So pixel 40, that means it's always going to be 40 no matter how big the screen is. So it's not really responsive anymore. EM1 will respond. REM also responds, but it's relative. And I don't know why. I tend to find EM works better for me. Again, that is very subjective, by the way. Okay, I'm not saying you must use EM. Go for what works for you, but I would say use EM as a minimum, right? And in your styling, you can also do, you know, blend modes and shadows of your letters and all of that. You can also do advanced things as well, like background shading for the header and other things. But I'm not focusing on that for what we're doing here. I've got other videos to cover that. The next thing I'm going to add in underneath the header is some text. I'm just going to drop it in like that. Every time you add anything in, the order will go below the one above. Okay, and I did do a video yesterday on how you can actually manipulate the order of columns using simple CSS coding, but that's in another video I've got. So I've just added in some text. Again, you can style it with the styling column and all of that, and you can modify the contents. I'm now just going to drop in a button like so. Again, you can modify the text of the button. Okay, you can modify where that button goes. Does it open, does it go to another page? Does it maybe open a pop-up, for instance? Not that, sorry, over here. Does it maybe, for instance, open a pop-up? Or does it take you somewhere else? Or does it activate shortcode? Some people don't realize this. If you've got shortcode for a template or something, you can stick that in and it can actually activate something for you. Or, you know, so there's things you can do here. Let me just check there's no message coming yet. So very basically, header, text, button. I'm not doing anything fancy here. I'm now going to add in an image over into column 2. And I'm just going to pick, let's just go for this robot. Hello, robot. And we're going to go for full as the size. Okay. If you go for full, even if your image is only meant to be that big, go for full, because if you start to pick any of the other sizes, right, sometimes it will blur a little bit or pixelate a bit. And you might be going, why? That's the size I want. Go for full. Okay. Trust me on this. Then go to style. Okay. And now start to decide how big your image is going to be. And you could either go for a percentage size. So it's going to be a percentage size. So if I go for 20, that is now 20% of the width of column 2. Okay. Column 2, that's the width. Or you could be very prescriptive and go for a pixel. So I'm just going to go in and I'm going to say that this should be 100. I'm sorry, by the way, if when I do click on the keyboard, you get a bit of a click or you get a bit of noise disruption coming through. When you're doing it live, unfortunately, things like this do creep through a little bit. So I've got 100 pixels for my robot. Okay. Now, if we view this by hitting the chevrons, we have 1200 pixel width, boxed width. Column 1, column 2, we have a robot. Okay. Now I'm going to go back into my section and I'm going to put the minimum height to be 0. This again, it is now, they're basically touching the top and the bottom borders of the section, right? Let us now go back into the section and we'll add in a background. I'm going to go to style. So I'm in the section style and I could add in a slideshow. I could add in a video. Be careful about your videos. Don't add in any videos that are way too big. Okay. Too big a video and it's going to slow down your website. If this section was on another page or found, you can get away with it. If this is one of your hero banners at the very top or near the top of your homepage, landing page, Try not to do it, because if you slow down your website as soon as someone's gone on, your video might not load properly or take 3-4 seconds to load, or you're going to lose people because they'll be like, oh, this is really amateurish, and they might just go off elsewhere. So try not to do that. What you can also do is a gradient. Okay, so sorry, let me show you the classic. We could pick a color. So I'm going to pick orange as a color. Okay, and I'm going to talk to you about the global colors in a moment, because you will notice here we've got already some predefined colors. So I could pick an orange color, or I could go to gradient, and I've got now orange. And in fact, what we'll do is we'll turn this one to be white, and we'll turn this color to be orange. So we have orange, white blending into orange. But watch this. If I type into here location 50, and then in the second one I type 50, I get a hard gradient cutoff point going on. And if I want, I can change the angle. Look at that. Whoa, dude. And you can start to mess around as well. So I could put in 75 and type in 75. You don't have to do it twice, but I find just do it twice. So you could start to be a bit funky with how you set up your color gradients. Now, before we carry on, let me just quickly go over the global colors before I show you what we're going to do with the section. Let me just hit update. Regularly hit update, because there's nothing worse than if you lose your connection. Or in my entire 12 months of using Elementor Pro, there's only been 2 occasions, and I use this a lot, 2 occasions in 12 months where it closed down on me or there was an error. Don't know what the error was, and I lost some of my work. Like, it was only about half an hour work, but it was still half an hour. You know, I was like, ah. But make sure you hit update regularly, okay? Hey, Mark, good to see you again. So if you go down to your settings, right, down here, this is where you can basically change the title of the page, which I wouldn't recommend doing it here. And you can decide if you're going to hide the title or show it, okay? And you decide if your page layout's going to be default or Elementor. Always go for default, but I'm just using Elementor Canvas to hide the header and the footer, right? If you now go over here to Navigator at the bottom, this is where it's going to now allow you to see what is the content you've put on the website. We have section 1, we have column 1, header, text, button, column 2, image. Yeah, and you can actually rename these. So look, I'm going to call this hero section. You can rename all of them. So if you're trying to be very methodical about your layout and what everything is, you can do that. I used to do this a lot. And now lately I don't, because I know what I'm building, but go for what works for you. What we also have is the undo bit. And this is brilliant. You know, this goes on and on and on and on and on. So if you decide you want to go back to a point of time without a DeLorean or a flux capacitor, you use this. And this will take you back in time to undo loads of stuff or bits of stuff. We have responsive mode. We are going to cover this as well, okay? Because it's very important that we get this right, where we can view the page as a desktop, a tablet, or a mobile. Look what's happening on the mobile. It's now looking a little bit weird. We will come back onto this, but that's a way you could do it. You click it to get rid of the gray bar at the top. You click it again to get the gray bar back. And you also have preview changes. Preview changes is another way of basically doing this, previewing the page, okay? Sometimes it's better to do that when you're looking at a shop page or you've done something and you really want to see it now without any interference or anything like that. Hitting the preview button's quite good. It opens it in another tab, by the way. So you're not going to lose your edit page, right? We have up here a hamburger. That is the hamburger, by the way. If anyone says, where's the hamburger? Don't sit there looking for your lunchbox. That is the hamburger. You click that, and then you go to site settings. Okay, now I'll be honest with you. I only touch one setting in this entire page. Okay, some people start touching light layout, lightbox. Lightbox is how your images return to you when you have a gallery. You click lightbox and the image appears. It's how you kind of can mess around with that. There's not a lot you can do with it, to be honest. Site identity, all of this you would have done within your theme customizer anyway. But the only thing I touch here is global colors. I go to global colors, and this is where I decide what are my color schemes. What is my text color? What is my primary color, secondary color, accent colors, These are all just, you're going to look at this and go, that's a weird color palette. This is because this is our test site for YouTube and when we do our live chat. So don't sit there going, why has he got aqua turquoise and red and orange? It just does not compute or make sense. Don't worry about it, honestly. But this is where you can hit add color. And, you know, while we're here, let's just go in and add in a limey green color. Let's just add it in anyway. Okay, so you can start to add in your colors. Can you reorder this? No, you can't. Okay, so it's going to be in whatever order you want. I'm pretty sure at some point Elementor will bring the facility where you can drag and drop things and all like that. But at the moment they don't have that. And you can click onto here and name these colors. What? Okay, so you can start to define them. You might say this is the color for buttons. This is the color for forms or the background, whatever. You can name them accordingly if you're being very particular about it. Okay, right. So I don't do global fonts and I don't do typography. That is because I like to do it on the fly, and whatever I pick for the header in terms of my fonts, I'm going to start to imitate those as I go through the site. I have found that sometimes when you touch the global font or you touch the typography, sometimes you pick something for that and then this one overwrites it, or the other way around. And it's easy to get confusing. Or you pick them, you do something on the page, but then this now takes precedent over the global font, or the other way around. And sometimes I've sat there going, that does not make sense. What's going on here? Don't worry about it, okay? Just if you want to do it, but you may come to regret it, okay? I'm just putting this out there. The only one I do actually, I should tell you, the only one I do is in typography, I will set the link. So I might set the color of the link to be red. Because this is using hello, hello always defaults its links to be a neon pink color. And if you don't want neon pink, just go and pick your link color here, okay? And of course, if you're doing it as a text editor, you can overwrite it as well. So let me just hit update. So let me just show you what I mean. Back into the page. If I go to this text over here, we have text editor. And if this was a link, it's going to come out as red. Okay. Let's say I had an address in there. It's going to, oh dear, what have I done? Back to that. It's going to come out as red, but then I could just highlight it and over here, click a different color, white, if it was a black background, or black, or whatever color I want. So you can kind of overwrite it over here. Yeah. Okay, cool. Right. So that's how you do your global colors. And that's the only setting I'll do. Right. Back to the section background. We could put a color. We could put a gradient color. We could also pick a image. Right. So I am going to pick this image over here. Electro. It is a full width desktop image, 1920 by 1080. Okay. Let's put that image in. I cannot image now. It's not even, I picked the worst icon there, didn't I? It's a black icon. Why did I do that? Let me just quickly put this text to be white as well. And look, I'm doing this all on the fly just to show you how quick and easy it is. Let's do the style of the button while we're here. Very, very quickly. Background color for the button. Let's go for orange and leave it like that for now. Okay. Don't forget, you know, like for the button, if I go over here, if I go to hover, I could say the background color turns to red. And the hover animation is, let's go for grow. Okay. So look what happens now. It grows. Can you see that? It's growing like a little plant. Okay. Now our section background is not showing us the image we want, because at the moment it is setting it in such a way where the image is there, but because the section is not big enough, it's kind of cramping it. Well, it's not even showing it properly, right? So what we would do is we would go over to position, and I'm going to say center. Great, it's in the center. But now I'm not seeing the head or the legs. Okay, how about let's do the scroll and fix it in a moment. We'll come back to that. I want to, let's now set the repeat to be no repeat. Because if this was a massive scroll with the tile effect, you would see I mean, 1999 was a bad year for websites. Everyone was doing tile effect, the dancing baby from Ally McBeal. Do you remember that? So many websites had that. It was like, okay, I love Ally McBeal, but give the baby, dancing baby, a bit of a break now. I am older than I look, by the way. Okay. The size now. If you're going to have an image in the back, if I go for contain, it's now going to crop the image to fit within the boundaries of the section. Fine if that's what you want, but rarely do I ever go for that because I have all this empty space on the left and the right. What I tend to go with is cover. We're kind of back to where we were, but what cover means is as the size grows of the section, the image will kind of adjust accordingly within that size. So you don't get this like white spaces on the left and right. If you do pick center left or center right, there will come a point where the screen is so big. And if you pick center left, there will come a point where on the right hand side, you're going to get some white space. And if you pick center right, eventually get some on the left. So center is your safe bet. And you can mess this around and go for like top center, bottom center and things as well. I'm just going to go for center at the moment, right? Now, we could go to the section and we could go to the layout and I could increase the height. Look at that. What? It's working. We can see it. But I don't want to use the min height. I want to be very prescriptive on the size above the header and the size below the button. So what I do instead is I go to my section again, I go to advanced, I zero the margin and I zero the padding. Now what is the margin of padding? If I put in 100, there is now a 100 pixel gap from the top. I've moved the entire section down. If I was to put in 100 in the bottom, the next section below will not start until there's a 100 pixel gap. That is fine if that's what you want. If you're trying to create gaps between sections, that's okay. Or columns, that's fine. But I would rather use my padding instead, right? So I take it out, so now everything is back to the top. I'm now going to do the padding. The margin was the border of your house, the brickwork, okay? The padding is the cavity insulation with all the woodworm inside or after the wall, right? So before we're actually in the room now, it's the insulation that goes around, okay? So if I now go over to padding, well, let me just do this. Let me click the gray link so it creates an equal value all the way around. I'm going to type into here 100. It's added in. Did you notice that? Look, it added it on the top, the bottom, the left, and the right. 100. Let us change that and get rid of the right and put it in and put the left to 15 as well. You don't have to do this because it's only 1200, but I'm just showing you one of the approaches I take. I'm now going to change the top padding to be 150 and I'm going to change the bottom padding to be 250. Okay, why? Because I want there to be more space below the button than the top. Because if I don't want it to be dead on center. And that's what was happening if I did the section height. It would have been dead on center. But here now, I mean, I could even do this. I could say padding 100 and go for that look. And maybe increase this to be 300. Now the header is higher to the top. I'm now dictating exactly how that is positioned. And look here, if I go to left and I type in 200, what? I just moved it 200 that away. Okay, let's just put it back to 15. Okay, so if we now view this, that is now kind of going to maintain the height space there. Now, bear in mind, though, the image moved, didn't it? Did you see that head kind of move up a bit? That's because as soon as we do that, we've now grown the estate of the page, right? So it's responding to that. The cover image, like I said, depending on the size of the screen. So now when I look at that, I might go, actually, I want the top to be 150 and I want the bottom to be 350. Okay, so let's just do that. Let's just do 350. Let's just do 150 like so. Okay, and that now is probably a little bit better. It's very big, by the way, but it's a little bit better. I am conscious of the time, though, but just stay with me. So we've added in our thingamajig. Okay, we've added in our padding. Now at this point here, this is where you kind of now need to stop and think about, well, why do I need a second column? Is there any use for that second column? Am I going to add anything in? Because we currently have this robot image over here. What if I want to get rid of the robot image, but I still want my text to only take up half the page? So I don't want anything in this second column. I'm going to delete this column, right? Just deleted it. Let me do that again. You can just right click over there and click delete. Or you could use the navigator and delete it from there. Now our text goes across the page. A bit too much maybe. Now if I go back into my column now, so I could go to my section. Okay, I could go to padding from my right and I could say 500. It's now moved. It's kind of created a huge cavity wall on the right hand side. Rather than doing that though, I would say that you're probably better to go to the column now. Section, we've been messing around with the padding. Now I'm going to go to the column. Okay, I'm going to go to advanced. I'm going to zero the margin and padding because I like to be in control. I like everything zeroed out. And I'm now going to say margin on the left, okay, or the right. I'm going to say 600, like so. Okay, and that means that this room, you can see here, will never go beyond where that pencil edit blue icon is. Okay, that is it. No matter what you paste in here, it is not going to go beyond that. I've now limited what sits within here. But if we now view this on a mobile, okay, look at this, right? We now have a very big section with an image which is kind of, he's half over there, right-hand side. And look at our text. It's still got that 600 right. So now our text is totally cramped up. I want to go over two important things at this point. Number one, that image we picked there was for the desktop. That image is fine for the desktop. But for the mobile, it is bigger than it needs to be. It is a compressed image. It has been converted to WebP using the Images to WebP plugin. That is fine, but it is too big. And when you do a page speed insight on the mobile, you're going to get an error or that's going to say, this image is the wrong size. And you're going to be going, well, no, it's not. It's fine. It responded in the mobile. Get over it. No. This is where you can do something that a lot of people overlook. When I go to the section for this, we have an image. Watch what happens here when I go to mobile. We still have an image, but this has now gone a gray hashy color there. Because we now have the opportunity to pick a different image. So I'm going to click over here and I'm going to pick this image. Can you see it is a different sized image? It is 401 width by 699 in height. How did I do that? Well, I just dragged a copy of this image over into Media Library. I then went into Edit Image and I literally scaled it to be 700 or 699 in height, saved it, clicked crop, and when I cropped the image, cut out bits of it to only be 401. Why? Because now that image is not going to bring up the page speed insight issue of your images are the wrong size. Okay? Because now the image has been adjusted to be right for this. So let me just pick that again for the mobile. Let's insert the media. There we go. We now have an image which is, you know, it looks like it's exactly the same image, but it is now a smaller image that's been added in. Right. Now, so desktop, we have that image. Mobile, we have that image. Okay. And it will help your optimization. Trust me, if you're overlooking that at the moment with your page speed insights, common problem, right? Get this right and it will help out so much in terms of mobile speed score. Right. Responsive. If I now just go to my section, I am going to zero everything. You don't have to do this. You could have just overwritten what I had, but I just want to show you by zeroing everything out, I've now removed the padding. Don't worry, it is still there for the desktop, but for the mobile, it is zeroed out. And this is where I'm now going to go in and I'll go, right, I'll do 60 for the top. I'll probably do 100 for the bottom. and I will do 15 and 15. Why do I do 15? I find when you're looking at it on a mobile, 15 pixels on the left and right is kind of nice, and it just means it's not scraping against the border of the page or your mobile. Okay, I have my preferences. Some people go for 20, 25. I'm quite happy with 15. I'm now going to click into my column, and I'm now going to click the 0. And look what's happened. The text is now no longer cramped. Yes. And this is where you could now mess around with it again. And of course, I would now say that, right, the text is the wrong color. Adjust that. We might want to put a bit of a background maybe to that text white box over there because we can't read it properly. So we can do that as well in the styling, the advanced tab as well. There's videos and stuff on how to do that. But what we could do at this point is we could say, right, if we go back to the section now, the padding at the top is insufficient. So let's add in 150. We'll move that down. This might be white color. So it was red, which was a bad example. Let's just put it back to white. We'll have a white text. Oh, it's even uglier, isn't it? Let's just do the weight of this to be about 700. Oh, it's not looking good, is it? Text shadow, we'll add a bit of a shadow there and we'll just darken the color just a tad bit there so we can just about see the heading there. This is a test site. Don't beat me up over what I'm showing you here, right? I mean, if I go back to my section, I'm going to add in some padding at the bottom as well, like so. Let's go for 150 and we'll go back to the top and do 200. Okay, something like that. If we go to our desktop, it is still the margin and paddings, or the paddings we set for it. I haven't done it for tablet, but the same concept with applying, just making sure things look right. Because look, there's your tablet view. Damn you, tablet. But this is now the mobile view, and we now have a page which is working better. 15 left and right. We've adjusted it, etc., etc., etc. Now, if you've done the work to set your pixel, not your pixel, your EM for your headers and your text and your buttons and all of that, when you come to do your next section, right, this is what I do, right? I will go in and I will just duplicate the section above. And then I will just get rid of content, whatever I want. Okay, I'll get rid. I will then just I'll do something like this where I'll just, completely eradicate whatever was within there. Like so, like that. Okay. And I will then also get rid of the padding at the top and the bottom, but I will leave the left and right to still be 15. Why? I now have a section that's got my padding set out for me, right? So when I start to add content in, it's always going to have the right padding for the left and right with the 15, 15. If I now want to add in a text box, I will just copy this text box and I'll paste it in. And I will then obviously adjust the size, or I'll adjust the color of it or whatever, and then mess around with the paddings again, because I don't have to do it multiple times. I've kind of set my benchmark for what my headers are going to be. Of course, your headers might be big and then you might drop them down size or something like that. That's fine. Go ahead and do that. That's absolutely fine. But you're starting off with something which is better than starting off with a completely brand new header. Because this now has my font. This now has my sizing. And it makes it a lot easier. I've got someone who wants me to help them out with working on one of their websites, okay? And the problem we're going to have is that there's over like 20 odd, no, it's about 30 pages, 22 templates, and about 15 pages. That's nearly 37. None of it's mobile responsive. You've got to go through every page, make sure it's mobile responsive, text, headers, buttons, everything, paddings, everything. But if you started off with one section and you made it the best section you can make it, right, it means you can just duplicate it and modify the content within, and it's the settings start to keep stay within what you do. Of course, but I haven't added in a slider here. But when you come to do a slider, you get your settings right for it, or a carousel. And I did say don't use carousels too much, but you do it for your carousel. And then when you duplicate that carousel, it's got the settings there. You just change the content. You don't have to start from scratch. Does that make sense? And also when you, I do want to make sure I mention this, is when you do come to building your hero banner, I tend to do my site engine optimization of rank math right at the end. because the website's built. I'm just going to fine tune it and tweak it to hit the SEO rank math scores. But while I'm building it, I will have the keywords in my head. So if your keywords were computer monitors, right, that's your keyword. Your website could be https icecream.com, as in ice cream that you lick, not ice cream, okay, .com. But to hit a high score in rank math, you might make your homepage have the title of computer monitor. So icecream.com/computer monitor. That will satisfy the rank math. Keyword must be in your URL. Doesn't matter what your domain is, just make sure you've got it as a /. If it is your keyword, you want to try and get your keyword here in your very first header. Now this header, content, must be header 1, H1, right? You could put something in here like, we're experts in computer monitors. Get the keyword in. Over here in your next section below, which could be a H2 header or a text, you know, as we have here, you might now put a bit more and say, we've been working with computer monitors for 20 years. We know how to optimize or get the best resolutions and, I don't know, what's it called? What's the word called? You know, latent frequency, lag or whatever they call it. I'm pretty sure it's responsiveness on the screen. So if there's any other keywords, get them into your text editor. And then kind of maintain the flow of it. When you do mention compute monitors, make sure you put the word computer monitors. So you're reinforcing the keywords within your website. Okay, we've only got 4 minutes left. Now, I was hoping to go over a load more sections. And unfortunately, I don't think we've got time to do that. But I hope you kind of follow and are okay with when you're doing a section and you're putting your content together, spend the time to organize it well and onto another section until you've tested it for the mobile, okay? Because if it doesn't look good for the mobile, I mean, of course, we would probably make it longer there to fit the full page height. Make sure it looks good for the mobile. So look, I'm going to take this button here and I'm going to put this button over to we'll put it in the center. We'll go for center, okay? Desktop is on the left-hand side. Mobile is in the middle. So you can be a little bit creative. And also, don't forget that you could, if you want, like you could, I mean, look, let me just do it here. I could duplicate this button. Duplicate, duplicate, duplicate. You got 3 different buttons. You get to mobile mode, and I may now go over to my section and say when we are in the mobile, so section, advanced, go to responsive, reverse the, oh, hold on, why did that not work? I've probably done something that I should not have done here because that should have, oh no, sorry. It's one column. Sorry. If you have multiple columns, you can reverse the columns. I was being silly then. But what you could do is I could go over this button here, go to advanced, go to responsive, and I could say hide on the mobile. Let's hide this one on the mobile as well. Advanced, responsive, hide on the mobile, right? So let's now go to desktop. There are 3. Mobile, there is 1. And you go, no, there's not. There's 2. I can see them. Not really. Look at that. They're not there. Gone. Magic. Say yes, Paul. Okay. So we've only got 1 minute and 20 seconds. Now, I hope this has been useful. I hope this has helped you maybe appreciate how you just have to take a little bit of time when you're working with your sections. Don't just put in all of your content. You know, you've done an image, you put your text, you copy pasted it in, and you move on to the next section, page, and then you do the mobile test. Or you get the issue with your images not being the right size. Invest the time to get it right. Invest the time to add in a copy of the image. Okay, so yes, you might have 2 copies of the image, but if you resize them accordingly, it will help you out. Believe me, when it comes to mobile page speed score. So look, we are now down to the last 30 seconds. Thank you very much, John. I shall take a bow. I don't know how this looks on the camera or the phone, but I'll just move this up here. By the way, John did help me out, and he did mention that the lights were a little bit bright. So I put a filter over to dampen that light, and I changed the bulbs over here to kind of not be as stark and in your face as all of that. But, you know, I may go into a bit more detail next time, but there's going to be loads of other tips we want to show you. In fact, I'm probably going to go over WooCommerce and dynamic tags next week, because that is a brilliant tip, stuff you can now do with the beta version of Elementor 3.4. And I had a meeting with the educators today from Elementor, and they have got some really good stuff coming up later this year, but I cannot tell you any of what that is. My lips are sealed, but there is some funky stuff coming up. Hey, No Home Nomad, my head is spinning. I'll have to watch several more times. Yeah, please do. No, you're not thick. You are not thick at all. You came on here, and I love all of you guys for coming on, and girls and ladies and people, non-binary, everyone out there, aliens, everyone out there, come along and watch us. And you're not thick, just watch again. And do reach out to us if you are stuck or you're struggling with any aspect of Elementor. You don't have to do it here. Contact us, email. Let me just make sure the email is on. There you go. info@websquadron.co.uk. Contact us. And we are going to be opening up the facility for power hours. So if you want to book us for an hour, it's not going to be free, but if you do want to book us for an hour to go over your page speed score, help you to understand how to do something on the page, normally once someone shows you, you'll appreciate and get it and understand what you need to do. So do reach out to us. But look, take care, all of you. It is now 9:01 in the evening in UK time. And I'm now going to enjoy the rest of my Pepsi Max, which I opened an hour ago, and it's probably lost all its fizz. But hey, if you are watching this on YouTube, please do like and subscribe. Let other people know, or let other people tell other people about us. And we shall see you soon. And I'm now going to click end stream. And it normally takes about 10 seconds. So I'm going to just stand here